Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I'm very happy that another time I have the opportunity to be among dear brothers and sisters of Zikr, MIT Shia Muslim Association. As you know, the title of this lecture series is Imam Husayn's Movement, Reflection, History, Reasons, and Consequences. This fifth lecture is Umayyad theory of Caliphate and Prophethood. But we have the occasion of the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam next week, or 12th of Rabiul Awwal or 17th of Rabiul Awwal. Today is 10th. So kind of I wanted to the talk be somehow related to that topic. And so let me first start with these verses of Quran for blessing, and also related to really what we're going to discuss. يريدون أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. So they desire to put out the light of God with their mouths, but God will perfect His light. Though the faithless should be averse, it is He who sent His apostle with guidance and the true religion, that He may make it prevail over all religions, though the polytheists should be averse. In the inscription which I put it over there recently, just October, I think 3rd, was kind of first its discovery was announced. There is a group in Saudi near Medina. They have a Twitter account, searching for this. This is the one that the name of the Prophet is mentioned. So there is so-called Muhammad ibn Bazir, which I don't think I have a record of him in history, but he claims, if you look, he's written here his name, Muhammad ibn Bazir. Khadim is hard to read for me here, but Khadim al-Kaaba, here's a Kaaba. Yashhadu, Yashhadu with one waw without alif, I think. Ashhadu la, this is la here, a little bit not written nice, tilted. La ilaha illallah. Wa anna Muhammad, you see the name of the Prophet is very clear. Muhammad Rasulullah, Muhammad. So this is one of the, as we discussed, few inscriptions we see at early stage. We see at the 1st century or earlier, we see the name of Prophet explicitly mentioned in it. So this is the importance of it. And then remember, again for the blessing, and this is the context of this whole series lecture, and especially today. So there is a hadith which narrated by Sunni sources and Shia sources, which the Prophet says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله حسين مني وأنا من حسين أحب الله من أحب حسين حسين سبت من الأصفار. So Husayn's from me and I'm from Hussein. God likes the one who likes Hussein. We discussed that one, I'm not going to the abstract, but one of the questions we had, what was different about Yazid in comparison to other rulers before and especially after him, that regarded Imam Hussein moving openly against him while it did not associate such open action by other Imams. After all, many of them were cruel, unjust, debaucherous, drinking, and other stuff, tyrants as Yazid. They were as bad as Yazid. It was because of both of the person of Yazid, but more than that, the situation turned after 20 years of Muawiyah. So what if we want to discuss is this. One of the peculiarities of the early Islamic documents from early Islamic history, 1st century, is a scarcity of the name of the Prophet Muhammad. You don't see anywhere his name, besides the Quran, or maybe we call the historical book, but the physical records, which could be coins, which we discussed thoroughly, inscriptions, maybe official documents, on papyri they wrote. Descriptions could be personal, like many of these are personal. Somebody writes something, but could be official prescriptions. For example, there is a dam Muawiyah built, and his name is there. And then also you have, as I said, documents, and then on what is unwritten gravestones, and then non-Muslim sources. Interestingly, from non-Muslim sources, from very early, we have the name of Prophet Muhammad mentioned. But the ones we find in Islamic civilization, not on the monuments, not on the coins, not on the official documents, not on the inscriptions, not on the gravestones, we don't have anything till later. And so this is a puzzle, and then late seven revisionists have, from using some argument of silence and developing many, and I mean, novel, like a novel is a good name, very odd theory sometimes, or some of them, okay, at least, okay, worthy of reflection. Like Fred Dunner, for example, says maybe Prophet Muhammad wasn't that important at the early stage, or being Islamic wasn't that the early stage. Or another guy said the Prophet Muhammad didn't exist at all, or so on, or all of these kind of theories. But this is an interesting question, why this is the case. And then, you know, my contention has been, and I said if they look to the Shia we use, and some of the criticism, some of the question would be answered. My contention has been that the two Sufyanids, Muawiyah and Yazid, really were in the process or intention of eliminating the name of the Prophet Muhammad. I mean, on the street, that was not easy. It would take time, but on the official documents, that was their intention. And really, that's you don't see it anywhere. And then I will show it in the coins. And so that's the one, the liyutfu nur Allah ba'afahim. That's the verse we started with. Yuriduna liyutfu nur Allah ba'afahim wallahu mutawwinun. But what happened, things changed, is the uprising of Imam Husayn and the historical events after that, which I briefly mentioned, made it very costly for the Umayyad. And then the transition from Sufyanid to Marwanids. As I've said it before, Marwanids were more sophisticated, and Marwanid know Medina better. As I said, Muawiyah and Yazid were never in Mecca and Medina. Yazid never was. Born in Syria, always lived in Syria. Muawiyah was out of Hijaz for 40 years too. But Marwanids, as a ruler, as a person, lived in Medina and know the Islamic context, know the situation better. So my whole thesis is this, that because you see clearly a change, as I will show it to you. There is no mention of the name of Prophet Muhammad to the year 65, 66, 67, not in any documents, not in inscription, but gradually you see it, and after year 72, you start to see it frequently. We only examine coins today because I mean, this is issue should be discussed in Sira. Inshallah, we will find time to discuss all these issues, Islamic historiography, non-Christians, non-Muslim sources, coins, inscriptions, all those stuff. But for today, we focus on the coins as an example. So, as I said, the thesis is this: they want to eliminate the name of the Prophet publicly. You see, you cannot do it in the street. You know, I mean, you use your contemporary experiences there. So maybe, for example, the name of some people maybe not mentioned. For example, I don't want to give an examples because any political, but even you got, for example, Zionism or the level of the situation, even the street in the United States is different what you see in public media. Or maybe in some of the countries, people remember, some people talk about them. Maybe, for example, Ayatollah Talabani in Iran is much more alive in the heart of people, but less in the official media. So you have these kind of examples, you can see what I'm saying. And then they can go further. If they have time, they would go further and completely eliminate. But that's the intention. Was it started earlier or time of Osman or earlier? Because there are some questions. We don't discuss that as fully, but I think at least we can see this contention. So the point I'm saying, this is official document. They could, although we still don't see anything from that period, but maybe it's a scarcity. It could people definitely have in their heart, but if these can go longer, it would be eliminated. But then the uprising, Imam was saying, and the issues after that changed the situation. And then the Marwanid adopted a new policy instead of going against Prophet Muhammad Islam, which make the people upset. Even they start to adopt the mantle of Islamicity and did some reforms, and they claim Prophet Muhammad for themselves. So I don't go to the history of Yazid, but just the times, he raised the Caliphate at 680. So he died at November 683, so it's only 3 years. And indeed, in 3 years, the first year he martyred Imam Husayn, the second and third year they surrounded Medina, ransacked Medina, killed many people in Medina, and then he's besieging Mecca. It was ready to crush the rebellion of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, which he died, and the army he sent went back. And actually, this produced a chaos. We need to have this minimum history. Maybe later on, I go through detail. I'm not sure I have time, but sometimes later on. But this minimum history we need to know. So after the Yazid died, the army which is in Hijaz and besieging Mecca went back. Didn't want to attack Mecca, then went back. But in Syria was a chaos. Who to be successor to Yazid? His younger son for a while, one of his sons for a while was Caliph, but he was either poisoned or died, most probably poisoned by Marwan, the next Caliph. There was a debate. Some group of the followers or supporters of Yazid and Muawiyah wanted to join Abdullah ibn Zubayr, which Abdullah ibn Zubayr has rebelled after Ashura. So maybe I was going to say that later, but it's good to say after Imam Husayn, a rebellion started. First, Yazid has the control in Syria and Egypt, but Abdullah ibn Zubayr start an uprising in Mecca, get the control of Hijaz and some eastern parts of Iran, and then we have Mukhtar later on in Iraq, and it controlled again big parts of Iran. So, and then also Khawarij. So we have 4 centers. I will show you the map. So there was a debate in Syria where they shoot so many of those people, which again were fighting against Imam Ali or with the Muawiyah and Yazid, want to join Zubayr because aristocracy of Quraysh like it. But the Bani Kalb again get the upper hand. And then as you see, with the encouragement of the Kalb chief Hassan ibn Malik ibn Bahtal, leaders of Umayyad family met at Jabiyah in Jawlan region and elected to acclaim as the leader Marwan ibn Hakam. So Marwan ibn Hakam chosen as new caliph. And then there was a war, and then again Bani Kalb, which we discussed, helped them to Marwan get the control. Marwan passed, and his son get the control. This was during this period, which is a transition time, which effectively most of Sunni scholarship, Islamic scholarship, call it second fitna. The first fitna is the civil war in the time of Imam Ali. The second fitna, they call these events after Karbala. And we have 4 centers of power. So this map shows it. I think is enough to go forward. See this pink one is the area of the Umayyad has it, and then Abdul Malik ibn Marwan get the control. So we really post Sufyanid era is first is Marwan, and then Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Then you have the Mukhtar, which is the green region, was in control of Mukhtar and Shiites. And then they have Abdullah Zubayr, which following aristocracy of Mecca, following the line of, we can say Abu Bakr Umar, because he was also nephew of Aisha. And then you have, these blue areas where are kind of using control or influence. And they have Khawarij, which they get some control in some part of Iran and some parts of the Arabia. So they were fighting together, and this civil war takes 8 years, like the Iran-Iraq war. And then too, at the end of first Zubayrids, defeated Mukhtar, controlled the area of Mukhtar, but these four make them weakened. And then Marwan was Abdullah ibn Malik Marwan was able to defeat Zubayr and could get the control all of this. But it was costly for him, very costly. And then they knew they cannot continue that policy, which made people dissatisfied people. And one of dissatisfaction, which I want to say is really antagonism, apparent disrespect, disregard for Islam, or really going hostile to the Islam or the Prophet Muhammad, especially by Yazid. Muawiyah was shrewd. He doesn't go in publicly against Islam or Prophet Muhammad, but as I said, as far as he tried, he didn't care too. So, but Yazid in some instances was really openly hostile. And we have some examples before. Maybe we can give other lectures. But today I want to go to the coins. The history of the coins are interesting. The coins are important, are one of the most important propaganda and assertion of authority by governments. No other government let the coin or cash or what is printed. They completely control it. They send messages on it. This is the official picture they want to say, because it goes to every household and people look at it. Yeah, nowadays we use credit card. Maybe it's not as important. Cash or the bills or coins, stuff like that. Historically is essential. Is a sense that now I have government. What is my messages? What is my name is? All the civilizations usually have the face or picture of king on it with some sentences on it. And then later on you see every time a rebellion happens, Khawarij or one of the sons of Ash'as, or even one of the sons of Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, one of the brother of Ali, when they do rebellion, have a control part of Iran or part of different areas later than this period. They're all minted coin. They're all minted coin. Even 2 years, 3 years, 1 year. The sign I have a control, I have a government, I am in charge, is minting a coin. So minting a coin is important. Now, the Islamic period coins, when after conquest, because Muslims, Arabs didn't have coin. When they conquered, they were dealing with two sets of the. They were dealing or confronting with two sets of monetary prevalent. One was the Byzantine Empire, which was mostly gold coin. The one we call dinar. And then one was the Sassanid ones, which is mostly was silver, which we call it dirham. And then later on, and there was some cheaper ones like fals, fulus, something like that. But the focus mostly will be in coin, silver of Sassanids and gold coin of the Byzantines. The Muslims use them, but the places do minting, the factories doing minting were there. They're not harmed. Occasionally, they start to write things around the coins. Even after revolution in Iran, for a while, the coins before the previous regime was current, or the bills. So sometimes people scratch, erase the marks or put something on it, change the name, change the signs, and then so the transition to minting of or producing new bills takes a while. And then besides, because they want to keep the commerce going in this large empire, and especially the gold coin of Byzantine was very respected and known. So they don't want to do changes as much. People should be familiar with what it is, how much the size of it is, and they know what it is. So, see like dollar, people prefer the green dollar and you don't change it much. If you completely change the shape and size, it loses some of its attraction. So have this in mind. So today, I know it takes a little bit, what's the time? Yeah, maybe the lecture is 2 parts. I maybe try to go faster, but then this numismatic is important. Look, this is the first coin we have, is about very early, 20th of Hijra. The dating that this is Sassanid coin, this is silver. The dating of the coins is based on the Sassanid. Usually the Sassanid kings dated the coins based on their start of the reign. So when they say the first year of Yazdagirt, 5th year of Anushiravan. So this is minted on it somehow 20th of Yazdagirt era, and sometimes the molds or the things of minting were there. They reissue the coins as was before, because the new designs haven't gone through. But if you look here, the side of this coin, we have an Arabic word, is jayyid, means very good, jayyid. Upwards margin, we have jayyid, valid or good. So this is the first interference we see. It is at a year 31 after Hijra. Sorry, it was later. 31 after Hijra is the middle of the Osman era. And then we have another one, which is as a Bismillah in the side of it. So again, Sassanid silver coin, with the picture of the Sassanid king, and some of these, the backside is the altar. Maybe some of the Zoroastrian priests are doing some ceremony. The pictures, I don't want to go through all those details, but these are explained. So this is in Sistan, in east of Iran, and then you have Bismillah on it. Okay, so Bismillah seems is okay, religious, but the point I want to emphasize before, Bismillah is not per se Islamic. is very general because Arab Christians start to call Allah, and even mushrikeen, polytheists before Islam have Allah was the supreme God. So per se, putting Bismillah is not Islamic. And that's what I want to say Muawiyah was doing, or some of the other, maybe other people were doing. Put it away. It was not per se Islamic. This is very general, in the name of God. There was nobody there not believing in God. So this would work with polytheists, Muslim, Christians too. So there was no self-identity, a Muslim identity. It was very general. And that's the trend. And you see for a long time, for 30 years, this is the trend. And then you will see there is no technological problem. They cannot do something more sophisticated. You will see they do. For example, this is another one. This is another sentence, Lillah, belongs to God, for God, or unto God. So this is minted in Iran, the Arab Jihad. Many of them minted in Iran because silver, the places minting for the time of Sasani is still functional. This is very interesting. Look, this is 43 after Hijra. Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan. So this is dying at the time of Muawiyah. You have the Bismillah there, but if you look this part, which I cannot myself read, Middle Persian, he adds something interesting. So in Middle Persian, he says, Muawiyah Amir Wurishnikan, Muawiyah commander. But this is Old Farsi. Muawiyah Amir Wurishnikan, Muawiyah commander of the faithful. Muawiyah Amir al-Mu'minin. So commander. Again, Muawiyah put his name and emphasize, I'm Amir al-Mu'minin. Amir al-Mu'minin, we use it for Imam Ali, but Omar used it, is not per se, it is religious, but faithful. And who's faithful is not very clarified. And again, only Bismillah, it's nothing more. So there's no name of prophet, nothing after really specific slogan Islamicity. If this is an Islamic government, you have to put it. And then you will see it. Again, another one you have, this one, okay. This one is Bismillah al-Malik. So this one is al-Malik. So, and then is a little bit dubious, you know, is the name of Malik or is the name of God, the king? Although the translation is in the Arabic, you go Bismillah al-Malik. So the name of God, the king. So, and then the other one, which is look, this one, I don't go to, but this one is minted by whom? Ziyad ibn Abi Sufyan, the father of Ziyad, when he was the governor of Basra. So, and then although, he was very capable, we discussed it about how he was influential in Kufa too, and although he first was the governor of Imam Ali in Fars, and then look what he has in it. This time he has Bismillah Rabbi, in the name of God, my Lord. Again, this is not the typical Islamic way of mentioning God. I mean, it's not against it, it's very general, blanket type. So it could cover Christians, Arabs, polytheists, or so on. And then this is Umayyad governor, Hakim ibn al-As. We mentioned it. He's one of the cousins of Osman. And this time it's with Bismillah Rabb al-Hukm, the Lord of Judgment, which, or Lord of, I mean, judgment is not necessarily hereafter, but could be hereafter. So again, none of these are Islamic. I go faster. Now, look, till now we don't have anything Islamic in it, but we have some Bismillah added. Bismillah al-Malik, Bismillah al-Rabb al-Hujj. But then Yazid is unique. Yazid honestly is unique. And then look, these coins are there. Unfortunately, this revisionist history are spreading and people not doing nothing, watching this movie Gibson or another guy, Tom Holland, and start to adopt everything. And because of political institution in Iran, anything which put question marks is soon accepted. But look, these are coins from those caliph. It is with us, and a very clear history. Look, he using the Sasani coin and the explanation. I forgot to say, this is these information I got are from very good website, IslamicAwareness.com. This is all the coins all from them. Is a very good website. I should have put the link. I forgot. Later on, maybe I can put it. Look. This is very interesting. Yes, so let's read it a little bit more because it has so this is typical Arab Sasanian boss standing profile portrait Khosrow Dovom, Khosrow Parviz, not Anushirawan, enclosed by double circle Middle Persian invocation, increase of glory. You know, this Fawzat, which I don't know what Persian is, increase of glory. You see in others. Points to. On the right, in front of the head, a legend in Middle Persian Khosrow. Usual star and crescent ornaments with a legend in Middle Persian, and then there were star and crescent ornaments with a legend in the Middle Persian extant. Yeah, regarding the star and crescent, this, although is not Islamic symbol, but I think there could be some questions whether it really is Islamic, and it's not something, again, Muawiyah using any hidden wise. Look, this is when I really looked to it, and this is regard to those triune female gods the people worship, Lat, Manat, Uzza. I don't want to go to this story, but Uzza, which was the god, or the Mecca were devoted to it, and Abu Lahab was a servant of his temple. It is completely equal to Venus or Nahi. And Venus, is a star. The Venus is the planet we have, is the first one coming during the night. And then, so that star, some people say, is a hidden code for Venus, which is Uzza. And then what about Lot? Is some guy argued, not everybody accept, but could it fit with moon is a very complicated story. So I know this is not on the flag of many Islamic countries and is accepted, and the story says Prophet Muhammad tried, but let's put a question mark. I think here could be that maybe at least not every people understood the symbol the same. The star, and then maybe for some people was a code word for some of the gods which they used to worship. Because one of the things for Yazid is there is no Allah, there is no Bismillah. The other ones at least had a Bismillah. He doesn't have Bismillah, but he has a crescent and the moon. So Yazid is put crescent and moon. I don't remember the previous crescent and the moon. So that's one part of the story. So usual star crescent ornaments with the legend Middle Persian. Excellent is there. So again, there's some Jayyid is there. So you see also the coins have Middle Persian written on them, because very often they were used in the land many Iranians were living inside the old Sasanian Empire. But interestingly, Yazid followed exactly the tradition the Sassanid kings did it. Now, no other one till now had done it. He called it year 1, 61, the year 1 of the start of his kingdom, his rulership. And then he keep Khosrow title 2, which usually the previous coin scratched it. So it seems that even the judgment or the conclusion is this: look, he wants to use the title for himself. He wants to date not by Hijra, not by anything else, by his start of his kingdom. So if this guy has lived 20, 30 years, things would be changed. So I want to read the comments, because this is important. I know it's taking time, but I think this is different and new. I haven't seen anybody discuss it this way. There is no mint signature on this coin. So it's not mint signature. So instead, the reverse field year 1 of Yazid. So it doesn't say where it was minted. Undoubtedly, the novelty of the coin is incontestable for several reasons. Look, this is the commentary. Firstly, on the obverse, the name of Khosrow ought to have been replaced by that of Yazid, but it's not. But in this coin, the name. But in this same name of Khosrow has been retained. Secondly, there is no indication of the Islamic character of the coin. Nothing. It's not I'm saying, these guys saying it. The Middle Persian character, extant, is not replaced by Kufi formula for Bismillah. No Bismillah. Thirdly, the date, while occupying the usual position, is unusual for a couple of reasons. The dating year 1 of Yazid belongs to Sasanian system. So he wants to revive that kind of mixture. The year 1 being the first year of the current reign. The early Arab Sasanian coins usually have dates from Yazdegerd or post-Yazdegerd era. The date is a figure 20 or higher. If you use old coins of Sassanid, okay, the date was there, you use it. But if you have something new and then you minting new and you don't put the name of the Prophet, not Allah, and then you put your own year of the kingdom. So you see, completely means you're completely alien with the whole Islamic system. You want to revive the Byzantine and Sasanian kingdom. And I think at some aspect, semi-divine kings of Persians fit more as the image, as I said, Muawiyah and Yazid were building. Then, remember I said if he was able to conquer Constantinople, he was in the process, Muawiyah, to change the capital from Damascus to Jerusalem. He's built lots of construction. And the Sasanian and Arab Sasanian coins, the date is represented by a number corresponding to the year of the reign of the or the era used. However, in the Umayyad reform coinage, the word sanad here makes its appearance as a date prefix. The use of ideogram sanad here in this coin is unprecedented in Arab Sasanian coinage. So he used sanad year, but he used the dating for himself. So Yazid coin is completely unique. No Bismillah anymore after 30, 40 years of conquest, his own kingdom. Now, we have one with Talha. So again, after Yazid, things a little bit goes back to what it was. Again, you have Talha Lillah. Talha is the governor Lillah. What it means exactly is not clear. I go, this one is Salm ibn Ziyad. This is the first one. And I forgot to check whose governor it is, but I think it's Abdullah Zubayr. So what is the story is? People were upset with the Sufyanids' lack of respect or care about Islam, Islamic concern, Islamic manifestations, and especially open, hostile, clear, antagonist behavior Yazid. Okay, then who's the opposite rival which rebelled with Abdullah Zubayr? So Abdullah Zubayr noticed this field, this thirst is empty, he occupied it. He wants to take mantle of Islamic city, the one Omar had. We discussed it a little bit. Abu Bakr had it. He was not. This is report of Imam Ali, but he wants to go to back that mantle. So you need to some manifestation of Islamic city come in. So the first thing you have is Allahu Akbar, which still is general. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar is okay. We know this combination comes from Islamic background, but still it's not that specific. And then, so this is the earliest, look, this appears to be the earliest known Islamic coin to bear the famous slogan, Allahu Akbar. So it's around 65 after Hijra, 4 years after martyrdom of Imam Husayn and 2 years after Yazid death. So there are some interesting things after this. This is the important. This is the important. This is the first one. So I'm saying Zubayrid are doing it. They are taking the mantle of Islamicity. So they want to show we are Muslim. We are not those Umayyads. Those Umayyad care about Islam. They're more cozy with the Christians or Mushrikeen, or they don't care about Islam. Look what Yazid was. So we are the Muslims. Come to us. So this is the first coin. We have the name of Prophet mentioned. Look here, Bismillah, Muhammad Rasulullah. This was minted by a governor, another Abdul Malik, but the governor of Zubayr in Bishiapur in Iran, 66 after Hijra. And then this is another version of it. You know, Zubayr's silver drachma struck in Bishiapur, bearing the legend in the margins, in the name of God. Muhammad is the messenger of God. The arrow points to the place when Muhammad names appears. You know, we have it. This specimen is Sasanian style example of pre-reform coinage. There's still the face is the king of Persians, because they using Sasani coins and just writing something around. Okay, this is important because this is the oldest document we have, which the name of Prophet Muhammad is coming in. Old Islamic one. So this is the earliest occurrence of the name of Muhammad in a dated Muslim text. We do not have any manuscript, any papyri, any coin, any inscriptions from Islamic word with the name of the Prophet Muhammad on it earlier. There is one exception, actually. I kind of cannot discuss it. I forgot to put the slides, which is not the name of Prophet, but his name may be Rasul. But that I'll discuss later if you have the question time. This is the oldest we have. In non-Muslim sources, there is mention of another prophet. Then the dating is a question. But I think no matter what is the dating we do, some things is just 1 year or 2 years after the Rahlat of Prophet Muhammad. Some things a little bit later, but there are a few of them earlier than this. At least everybody agrees they are around before 50 after Hijra. So that's a little bit interesting or unfortunate that from inside Islamic civilization, we do not have till now any physical document that mentions the name of Prophet Muhammad sooner than this. But look, this is after Ashura. This is exactly when the war at Zubayrid and Marwanids are fighting each other. And now each one to claim, I am the true Muslim, I am true the champion Islam. So, you know, Abdul Malik Marwan, I mentioned, it started to be construction, like Dome of the Rock, which we discussed in Beit al-Muradas, is he built it. And then he put many Islamic slogans on it. Like as I said before, like there's sometimes Khadam al-Haramain that want to show we are in the service of Islamic causes and so on. Okay, and this is and is the truncated Shahada Bismillah Bismillah Muhammad Rasulullah. Now, still we have back and forth, you know, some of the some other coins, especially the one Marwani does not have this name. So you see, it's not technology, is whether you want it or not now. And the Marwani still do not have coins with this margin of the name of Prophet. Now, this time they have in the name of Bismillah al-Aziz. Even they make a coin to later on to show they're getting the coronation or you know, so we but again I don't go through that. So you see there are minting coins, but Marwanids are not minting any coin which is the name of Prophet is on there. Zubayrid also have mixed coins, but again one interesting coin which is I have to go sooner. For example, this one has Lillahi al-hamd, unto God be praised. Again is and then it is in Arabic, is Islamic, but it's still not the name of Prophet. This is interesting. Mus'ab ibn Zubayr minted, which is the brother of Abdullah Zubayr. Again, again has only Lillah, Bismillah Lillah. And then so it means even Zubayrids are not full in it, but at least is done in their position. And very often it's in Iran. And this is another one. This is a very interesting one. This is very interesting one. Is 17 after Hijra. Again, this is the second one the name of Prophet appears, but this time in Farsi. So the second example is Old Farsi. The typical late Arabic and Sasanian bus without the name of government, instead it is occupied by Middle Persian legend. Muhammad, you see, Pektami dot. It's, I think this is a root Payambar has come from, I guess, Farsi. Muhammad Payambar is Izad, or I don't know how this is. But Muhammad is the messenger of God. I don't know what's the Middle Persian of it. And then the other side is the name of God, the master of affairs. So this is under control of Zubayrids. It's 17 after Hijra, 4 years or 3 years after the previous one, which was done in Bishiapur. That one has Shahadatain, that is in Arabic, but this one has it in Farsi. This is the second earliest known record where the name of Prophet Muhammad is mentioned. The second. Is now 70 after Hijra. So 60 years after his passing. This is the second document. It dates, 60 is a long time. Is mentioned in the dated Muslim text. Furthermore, this is the earliest mention of the name of Muhammad in the Middle Persian Pahlavi. The earliest mention of the name Muhammad we saw it in Arabic was the previous one, 66, 4 years earlier. Okay, let's go forward. This one is also interesting, 72. Against silver, again in the control of Zubayrids, I guess. This is not 100%. I didn't find time to check it, but I think it is. You have Bismillah here. This one I have to look what it is. This handwriting is not Arabic, but it's old Middle Persian, and it's interesting. It's elaborate. So I put some of the first and fifth line provide by the date and the name of the meat, respectively the Middle Persian reverse legend 2 to 4, which appears and no other issues so far recorded, is the exact Persian translation of formula La ilaha illallah wahdahu. There is no God but God, and Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger of God. So here you have La ilaha illallah wahdahu Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammad, yeah. So you got again in Farsi the third example, and is a longer one. Which appears in the Kufi speak on all Umayyad codes of the reform type after the reform happens. The choice of Persian language, a Pahlavi script for the Muslim formula of faith, may have been due to greater prevalence of the Persian language in the remote province of Sajistan, and local unfamiliarity with the Arab script and language. This full Shahada is perhaps the earliest surviving physical record of in the Middle Persian, and is contemporary to inscription of Dome of the Rock. Dome of the Rock is a little bit later. This guy is a little bit push it. Dome of the Rock is after 72. This is the second earliest mention of the name of Muhammad from Middle Persian, and is the third one we have. And okay, then I would go forward because then Abdul Malik start to come in. Abdul Malik Marwan start to work on dinars because I think he noticed They're behind. And there is a coin actually here, silver. They did it. It seems here it says, because you see Zubayrid are at least 3 coins with the name of the Prophet, Fu, Shahada, Bismillah, so on. This is the one. It has Muhammad and Rasulullah, and it's under Abdul Malik. So he has a coin which has Muhammad and Rasulullah mentioned in it, but I didn't check. Let me see, is it Farsi or Arabic? Bismillah, Muhammad Rasul is Arabic. In the name of God, Muhammad is. So at 72, we have the first silver coin. The Marwanis minting it from 65, 66. So where it started, they got one at 70 and one, another one at earlier a little bit to around 70, which are full shahada and so on. So this one is 72. So from 65 to 72, those guys minted, Zubayrid minted 3 coins at least what we have with the name of the Prophet Muhammad. But then Abdul Malik did the first one, which in silver coin, Sassanid. But then he noticed you have to do gold coin. Gold coin has some sensitivities. Look, the Sassanids, which were in charge of the silver coins, were dismantled. There's no Sassanid empire. But the one who minted the Byzantine gold coin still was there. It was the emperor of Byzantium. And playing with that coin was a little bit harder. There are stories. But look, one of the things they did, they start to do this first because they were cozy with the Christians, and then this was a produced accusation. You're really with them, so they start to do something. Look, this left side are Byzantine coins, and the right side is Muslim coins, which either changing them or minting them, copying them. Look, the crosses, this horizontal line, and taken away. Cross here, the horizontal line taken away. But they keep the faces. It's not as good as this one, but they keep the writing. Here, the cross is gone away. So this is the first transition. So the gold coins, and these are mostly done because the gold coins were prevalent in the more Western area. So this is the first change. Then you have a very famous one, which is there are 3 people here. And again, this is propaganda of imperial figures. There are the Islamic version doesn't have the cross one of it, but it has a writing, I think, around it. Umayyad gold sinner in Damascus. The reverse side reads, "In the name of God, there is no God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God." So
sorry to stop you. On this picture, the right one, what does it show? The image? Do you know that?
These people, 3 people.
No. The previous one. The previous slide.
This one.
Oh no, maybe after.
Okay. Let me come. Maybe I'm going to. So not this one.
No, not this one.
So let's go this one, of course. This one.
Maybe after this one.
This one.
Yes, this one. So
yeah, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one you have to look. This is the first gold coin of the Abdul Malik, which has this side of it has those 3 imperial figure of Roman Empire, but this side the cross is erased. You don't have the horizontal bar, but then you have Bismillah, la ilaha illallah, wahdahu, Muhammad Rasulullah. So you see the change happen. The change start to be gone. But it's a mixed coin. It has the 3 imperial figure, Roman figure on it. This side, it still have the foundation for the cross over there, but the side have the Islamic slogan. So this transition happens, and then the next transition is this. This is a big story around it. Coming of the hadith is true. Qarawi mentioned. I don't have to. This one, you see, look the transition. Instead of 3 imperial figure, is 1%. So is copying this but changing this. Instead of these are famous Roman imperials, Constantine, Heraclius himself, and another one. So the name was there. So these are who the 3 figures. Constantine, founder of the really become Christian, really the one really made the Constantinople the city, and the Heraclius was the emperor in the name of the Prophet Muhammad, defeated Persians and so on. So now the point is this as a figure, and now this is Abdul Malik. So imitating the Romans, he put his face on it, is a sword, is Arabic dress, and he has the sentences around it. An example is standing caliph, gold coinage. This is 76. So in the period of about 10 years, we start to see the transition. That first the name of the prophet appear, and now in the silver coins, now in the gold coins, now still the pedestal for the cross is there. And now is the face of Abdul Malik. But this produced lots of controversy. You know, Umayyad gold studied this outstanding caliph, struck in 75. In Syria, the legend surrounding the caliph, it reads the name of God, there is no God but God alone. This is from the book. These ones with this, these from the book. Messenger of God, I think book by Dr. Sean Anthony. The legend surrounding the pole and the step reverse right means the name of God. The dinar was struck in the year of 5 and 70. So look, we have the year. You have the year in Hijra. We had another one. I forgot to say the one which has full Shahada in Farsi. Mentioning the year 72 Hijra. So it's not like Yazid dating things from himself. See, people noticing when you start to date it from yourself, you completely disregard Hijra. The same in Iran happened before revolution. Shah started dating from the time of Cyrus, 2536. This is a big change. You completely, and this is one of the reasons people got upset with revolution. And then so they noticed things should be changed. So if Yazid was there as no uprising, go there with no Hijra. It was the year of Yazid, no Bismillah, no nothing, whatever Khosrow he was, still my divine he was. So because of the whole pressure, I'm not saying, you see, Imam Husayn initiated a change, which they noticed they have to change course. And they have to take up the mantle of Islamiyah. And then you have these coin and this Abdul Malik. But then you see the next transition is this. There is no figure, and it's happened 77. I think there was some challenge with the Byzantine and the other challenges. I think Islamic ulama coming. Look, the feature of Islamic country coins is that you don't have head in it. In Islamic civilization, in the coins you don't have figurehead because of maybe worshipping idols and imagery wasn't. All other civilization, all other coins around us is head and tail. But ours, for example, Persian is shir fat. There is a simple shir and a line. Islamic coins, we got this formula. So this is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la Allahu ahad. This is Surah Al-Ikhlas. Qul doesn't have Qul. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad. But as remember, this is a Saj and it doesn't have the matla. If you remember, it doesn't have the matla. Qul doesn't need to have the matla. With discussion, we have the Saj. So you see, this is what happens. So in 10 years, I mean, from the time of the martyrdom of Hussein, 16 years, but gradually you see the whole transition, complete sudden, no face. At least the name of the Prophet Muhammad is there. It is an Islamic empire, not Arabic empire or whatever empire they think. And then you see.
Which year was this again, Dr. Ghoddoussi? Which year was it?
This is 77. 77 after Hijra.
Okay.
So this is finalized form. This is a reform form. This is the dinar which we deal with, and from then till now, essentially Islamic coins are like this. You have just written on it. Look, for example, this is a better picture. This is also a little bit later one. This is 98. No, it couldn't be 90. No. Yeah, it's maybe Abdul Malik, but it's been said later on. So you see, these are the features. So you don't have face anymore. Even you don't have face. And then this is a guy bought it and it was happy. Is a silver version of it. It's a little bit later, about, for example, 100 after Hijra. So these are real. So you see the transition happened. Name of Prophet is added. Then the Caliph want to put his picture, but the pressure, social pressure, ulama, he removed his picture because in Sasani the Caliph was semi-divine. In Romans, okay, not semi-divine, but still, and so we don't have face. Nobody puts his face on the coins anymore from then on till now. So, and as I said it before, after Imam Husayn, no ruler in Islamic world dare to be openly hostile to Islam, to God, to Prophet Muhammad. That's the okay. So because I was like, I maybe have to go a little bit longer if it's okay. If not, because we go to the main topic. Look, the Dome of the Rock also, Abdul Malik worked on it, so I'm not going to go through that. Right, inscriptions, not the outer side, this is latter build, but inner side. There are some inscription from 72, 73 after Hijra. One other time maybe we discuss this. So, you know what, this is Farsi, but explain. So what happened is Abdul Malik start to do some reforms. Make all the bureaucratic consolidated. Okay, that's for his government to control, but make everything Arabic, struck coins, build many mosques and buildings. And then even one part maybe later on we have to discuss, invited some scholars from Medina to start writing hadith and seerah. And then he start to implement some harsh, tougher policies on some of the Christians. I'm not saying this is necessarily right, but this but it's a little bit things change. You know, administrators become more Muslim than before. Now, the next part I have to start. Maybe it takes 45 minutes. I'm sorry, but to kind of cover everything. Look, this curve I showed before is important. We discussed when we talking about the Imam Husayn's uprising. A very low percentage of people were Muslim. You know, Imam Husayn uprising is around 668, 81. Is around here. So in Iran, even in Iran, less than 5% are Muslim. So it's not that if Imam Husayn had not uprised, and Iranians, the majority of people were not Muslim, and then Yazid could completely eliminate Islam. I mean, not Iranians become Muslim. Things could be changed. You know, even I mean, he could sell. Maybe he becomes his new religion by he can himself and the Khosrow, so on. So you have to be noticed. It's not that everybody is aware, everybody would not comply. No, the percentage of Muslims in Iranian plateau is minimal, minuscule. Is around here is less than 5%. Okay, what I'm discussing here is from the book of God's Caliphate, Patricia Crone, Martin Hines. Well, maybe much of the work, I'm not sure who has done Martin Hines, the student Patricia Crone. Patricia Crone, we have heard a lot of their name in regard to the revisionism, stuff like that. But she was very sharp mind, insights, and I think this part is some of insights very useful because for Shia, in one sense, Shia is the revisionistic history of Islam, in the sense we have a different view what early history of Islam was, and I think if you look some of the view Shia says some of these puzzles, some of these ideas which cause to revisionism develop would be an answer. Okay, so these are her sentences, which is summarize what I said, and I will start to go from there. This is not my sentences. So he says, and sometimes, you know, she's a little bit sometimes. I mean, I would write it differently, but okay. In the Sufyanid period, apparently the Prophet had no publicly acknowledged role. That's what we say. As far as they can publicly, you maybe not. I mean, no public thing. Maybe you mention so and so, but okay, people maybe still thinking, and sometimes people do not see the difference. This guy is never mentioned publicly. This is not to say that he did not matter in Sufyanid period, though exactly what he was taken to be the time is far from clear. But it is suggests that he played no legitimacy role in Sufyanid political theory. Look, all these governments mentioning the name to legitimatism. You know, Darius mentions Kurosh or Aristophanes in Bisotun. They spend time, write something. They put the energy to somebody destroy it. What I did, what I do it. Auram has helped me. I have something like that. These coins, these inscriptions are very important. Every government claims those of legitimacy. You know, why I'm here, why I'm ruling, why I should be ruling. So how on earth is Islamic government and if the Prophet Muhammad playing a legitimacy role, gradually he will be eliminated if nothing something change. If you don't mention it, let alone, I mean, sometimes you mention you don't believe in the heart, like Marwanis, but Sufyan is even not mentioning it. The literatures of Sufyan suggest the same. This is the one we are going to discuss. What they did, and we're going to discuss it a little bit more, is the title they adopted. The title they adopted is Khalifatullah. And the sentence they use is that earth belongs to God, which is true sentence, and I'm deputy of the God. So, Al-Arzulullah, for example, Ana Khalifatullah. As Muawiyah is said to have put it, what the Prophet may or may not have been was not from this point of view any importance. This is Patricia Crone says, not me. And then she adds all these, this is a summary of what we said, but then we start to go through. All this, of course, changed dramatically on the accession of the Marwanids, which I'm saying this has happened.
In the first no coin identifying Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah was stuck in Bishiapur, enforced by a pro-Zubayrid governor. I mean, I could only put this slide, but I think it's good to see it and feel it and see Yazid was real. Or this one was Umayyad was real. These are minted, that this is their attitude was. And in 71 after Hijra, the message was repeated on another Arab Sasanian dirham struck by the same place, this time by a supporter of the Umayyads. Therefore, reference to Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah becomes standard feature of Arabic numismatic inscriptions. When she wrote it in 1970, didn't know as much, and she very summarizing it because she wasn't too much into, because she is revisionist too. So she wasn't much to kind of bring in the put the proper place Prophet Muhammad history. Further, in 72, Muhammad and Jesus were both identified messages of God in two long inscriptions and octagon arcade of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. I was going to show that, but I didn't skip it. During the governorship, Abdulaziz ibn Marwan, the brother of the Abdul Malik, or in other words, during this time, Muhammad made his first appearance once for Rasulullah in the papyrus protocols of Egypt, which I didn't mention it. So it wasn't in the protocols. I mean, if you look in the protocols, official documents, you always mention the founder of the Islamic Republic of Iran, or I don't know, the Chinese still mentioned Mao, that was their Soviet, how the Soviets could talk without Lenin. So however, the Sufyanids, however, the Sufyanids may have conceived the Prophet Muhammad, the Marwanids, thus unambiguously identified him as the founder of their faith. So I'm saying a transition happened between Sufyan and Marwani. What happened in between? This Vietnam Civil War. What was the cause of it? Uprising of Imam Husayn. So this transition, we were saying, this change of heart, the change of mind happens by this. But it's clear from the context in which they made their public affirmation of his status that they were motivated more by desire to establish the credentials of Islam over and above other faiths. This is her judgment, notably in Christianity, but this is I add over other inter-Islamic libels. No, not other faiths or Christians. She is kind of misused. Really, what she says doesn't fit with the data, because they were very good relation with Christians inside. Okay, they have some fighting with the Byzantines, but they could manage it. But that's an inter-rivalry. This sentence of her is really misleading. Then, by wish to emphasize his continuing importance within the Islamic world. Actually, he really wants to emphasize importance within Islamic world. And though the escalation of Muhammad into the fully fledged founder of Prophet was indeed to undermine the position of caliphs in the long run, as we say. Yeah, I mean, that's what we have to see. He says, okay, when they start to emphasize the Prophet Muhammad, gradually this hurts or limited the role of caliphs. But then it means we need to go see what the theory of Caliphate was. Now, interestingly, look, we don't have inscriptions of Prophet Muhammad much, but we have inscription with these two guys, Abdulaziz, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, Abdulaziz. It seems they were not caliphs, they were in Medina. Two inscriptions written by extraordinary brothers, the first being Umayyad Caliph Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the second his brother, later governor of Egypt, Abdulaziz ibn Marwan. Abdul Malik asked God for gratitude and guidance, and Aziz for forgiveness of sins. So there is some belief in God, maybe they mention it, but there is nothing in the name of prophet. So again, the inscriptions were probably written long before they become powerful. They grew up in Medina. Okay, look, it seems, if these are right, because it's a little bit too crowded. One place is, and if it's not new, it seems it's here. Ana Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, As'alu Rabbi, Ash-Shukr wal-Huda. This is Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, and this one is Allahumma Aghfar la Abdul Aziz ibn Marwan. Marwan is very different. Zanbahu Kalu. Okay, this is digression. And then what we want to mention, and then I think is the whole story, was that Abdul Malik coinage reforms were, however, far more radical than those of Zubayrids. This is the view of the Patricia Crone, but this is the emphasized one transition point. Although the Umayyad eventually adopted an iconic, there is no picture of the king, a creedal aesthetic for their coinage. They were forced to do. The earliest coins of the experimental phase depict representation of the caliph standing in Arabian dress with a sword in his sheath and a scourge hanging from his right shoulder. Look, that middle transition coin, which shows him as a caliph with a sword, and then, okay, all the shahada and other stuff, the back of it, which is similar to Byzantines, but this time caliphs, they're not the emperors. This one is an important one because this is really matched to the theory of the caliphate they had. and prophethood, which we want to discuss. So the title today and the main theme will be this today is this, because he wants to push this line. And okay, on the coin, the pressure, I think, with Sunni ulama, other ulama, forced him to avoid it. He couldn't do that. But still, they stick to this theory of caliphates and nubuwwah. And what we discuss is not necessarily from Muawiyah and Yazid, is later, but would say, despite all these events, still they have this kind of theory. Let alone if there wasn't no uprising, Imam Husayn, let alone Yazid and Muawiyah could continue without any obstacle or hindrance. So this is important. And okay, like there is an issue about the early caliphate, how the caliphate was understood by Abu Bakr and Umar, and then what is the difference view of Shia and Sunni. Because of saving time, I'm not going through that. This could be interesting. Could be very interesting, relevant to this topic. But let's go, because that also could be a little bit controversial. I don't want to go through that. I'm going discussing, everybody agrees. So I'm not going that line. So for this was interesting. I have more time. I'm intended to discuss it, but let's go simple. So what we want to start with before going to theory of caliphate and prophethood, we want to see what's the title. Look, all the kings, all the rulers choose a title, and those titles are important. So what is in a title answers a lot. Look, for example, the king of Iran before revolution, Shah Qatar used Aryamer, the son of Aries, or the light of Aryans, or something. And then we have the titles like founder of the Islamic Republic for Imam Khomeini, the leader of Islamic Republic, the current leader, the leader of Islamic Revolution for both, Wali Amr of the Muslims of world, which is similar to the how Ottoman caliphs understood themselves, Khadim al-Haramain and Sharifain, but the leaders of the Saudi Arabia. And then we have it, I had it in the slide, I think I took it, I don't have it here, like the long title with Queen Elizabeth has for herself. I wish I had it for here. So the late Queen Elizabeth had it for herself. That title has lots of meaning in it. So the titles are these official titles, what to convey a message, and show the image, what I think I am, what people should think of me. So it's important. So let's see what is the titles the four caliph choose for themselves. Each gives you an idea what they thought the rule is. Abu Bakr considered himself Khalifatul Rasulullah, here means successor of the Messenger of God. Omar considered Khalifatul Rasulullah, successor of Messenger of God. Here they use Khalifa in the sense of successor. I mean, Khalifa, we'll see, can have two senses of meaning: successor or deputy representative. So this is successor. And Umar also referred to himself commander of faithful. Osman is the one he used Khalifatullah. We have some. Osman is the one used Khalifatullah. And remember, last lecture we discussed some of the things he did is only justified or can be understandable, considered rational. He really think he was Khalifatullah. He was representative of God. God, we said, he thought God gave him this position because he didn't do anything for it. He didn't have a special character to make him a leader. No, nothing in the jihad, nothing in the futuhat, nothing in special leadership skill, no governorship, nothing. And then when you got this position and you feel that, and I always said, I'm not going to take away this dress, this mantle with God put on me. I'm not going to take it out. So whatever you want to discuss with me, but I'm not. So we really kind of at least self-internalize, this is given by him and he's a representative of God. And that's allowed him to do whatever he wants to Beit Allah. I mean, it's given to me, it's mine, I decide whatever I want. I want to my cousins and so. But Imam Ali, after him, only used commander of faithful. And Imam Ali, in all his letters, at least I searched in he always started with Abdullah, Ali, Amir al-Mu'minin. So
Ghoddoussi, these titles came from people, or how these titles settled, for example?
They chose it, and then
okay.
And the official documents they use it, the communication they use it, people call them by that. And actually, we do. I don't discuss Abu Bakr and Umar and Usman much But the other ones, one of the things Patricia Crone and Martin Hines have done, show the provenance. That's, without computer searching documents, finding where and who, by whom they were called by these titles. For Imam Ali, we can see it. He himself called himself when he write letters to the governors, like Malik Ashtar letter. So if you look the letters of Nahjul Balagha, letters 1, 3, 8, 50, 51, 53, 60, 60, 75, which Imam Ali started, this letter of me to so-and-so, for example, Malik Ashtar and so-and-so, always he started like this. So he start his letters like this. These are official documents, so means how he called himself, he understood himself. Yeah, these titles, these are attested. Khalifat al-Rasulullah is attested. Historical book says he wants to, for example, signing an agreement Omar with because the Jerusalem, the Patriarch of Jerusalem, at least history says, decided to surrender the city only to Omar, not the commanders, the Muslim army, but to Omar himself. So, and then they make a pact, and under a pact, how Omar signed it, either he called himself Amir al-Mu'minin or Khalifat al-Rasulullah. Yeah, this is a very good question, Dr. Masala. Actually, this is a good part of the. I'm sorry, it will be a little bit longer today, but I know
yes, that's fine.
Okay, but I thought this is because occasion of the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, and exactly this is the heart of the whole series. After that, we go different direction, but this is the whole series. So look, let's see this title of Khalifatullah. So what we say, Osman pick up Khalifatullah, and all Umayyad took Khalifatullah. And then what this Khalifatullah means, we have to be careful. There are very simple, important nuances in it. And these guys were not illiterate. They have very good advisors. I said very sophisticated administrators work with them. Those guys are knowing all this philosophy, all history, all theology discussion of Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, all the wisdom or these things in Babylonian, Mesopotamia. So these guys, they know what doing. They're all history of those kings, how they called them, So we take our starting point, the well-known fact that the Umayyad made use the title of Khalifatullah, an expression which, along with many others, understand to be deputy of God. Deputy is a weakness here, but here is representative. Deputy, a person whose immediate superior is a senior figure with an organization and who is empowered to act as substitute for the superior. So Khalifa, as I said, has two senses. It could be successor, but we will see, because God could not have any successor, when you use Khalifatullah means deputy of God. That is your representative of God. And then deputy means in English like that, and we have in organization. Farsi is like that. جانشین مثلا فرمانده قرارگاه مثلا خاتم. So جانشین means successor, but more means the guy, as the English says, a person has all the authority of the supervisor to do function when the first guy is not here. So when you're deputy of God, you have the kind of all the authority of the God to function and earn as representative of God, but God is not exactly on there. That's kind of effectively means. The translation is scarcely is need of much defense. A Khalifa is somebody who stands in the place of another. That is a deputy or a successor, depending on whether the other side is absent or dead. Yeah, kind of, because if a dead person, you don't say, for example, John Ashina, Shaykh Chamran, because he's martyred. So that means a little bit different. So look, since the Muslim assume God to be alive, Khalifatullah cannot mean was God's successor. This is the very important thing. Two Quranic verses are customarily invoked by those who call themselves Khalifatullah. That is Ayah 30 Surah Baqarah and Ayah 26 Surah 38. One is about Khalifatullah and human beings or Adam, and one is about David. But none of them use the word Khalifatullah. They only use Khalifatan. The combination Khalifatullah is not in Quran. As Khalifatan, this is lots of discussion. What does it mean to human beings as collectively or in what form they're Khalifatan? And then the other one is Ya Dawood, inna ja'alnaka khalifatan fil ard. Okay, this is closer to the political meaning because this one is more collective. Although it's, although it's regarding to Adam, but I think could be the whole human race. But this one, okay, regarding David, but it's not the word Allah in it. But kind of the meaning maybe is the one they intended, that we are David. And this is in Christian too. Ya Dawood, inna ja'alnaka khalifatan fil ard fahkum bayna an-nas bil haqq wa la tattabi' al-hawa. But that's exactly God said what you shouldn't do. تتبع الهوى فيضلك عن سبيل الله إن الذين يضلون عن سبيل الله لهم عذاب شديد بما نسوا يوم الحساب. Now, the beauty of God is a title which implies a strong claim to religious authority. That's true. This is why we are interested in it, and we wish to begin by establishing 3 basic points. In this is Dr. Crone, Patricia Crone said. First, it is attested not just for some Umayyad caliphs, but for all of them. Or more precisely, for all of those who live to rule for more than a year. All of them use this title. So this is the view of this Umayyad. It was an official designation of the Umayyad head of state, not just a term of flattery. I mean, it's not just some term, some people can say, oh, okay, you're, it's a very serious one, you know, because you may say some stuff, but I cannot mention it, but okay, you say it, maybe some guy in the member said, or you, but when you write a letter and you write to the other heads of countries, you have to do it seriously. So and then for example, they have different titles, you know, Dabir Kulle Hezb Communist, you know, the director or the chairman of the Communist Party or something like that. Thirdly, it was known to be what the title of Khalifa stood for when used on its own, and people understood it and people used it in this way. Now, for the Muawiyah, for example, we have this in Balazuri or Murujus Zahab or Masudi or so on. There it belongs to God. I am the beauty of God. Yazid, vow to you who has separated from the Sunnah and Jama'ah, who have disobeyed the beauty of God. This is an important issue. If it really Yazid says, the whole issue of this is related to the uprising Imam Husayn. You know, they claim he was left the Jama'ah and then produced split schism among Ummah, disobeyed the beauty of God. So absolute obedience of the ruler was important for them. But we have other people study too. I only mentioned the other ones is more attested. The other caliphs, we don't, you know, I maybe should have bring examples of Abdul Malik, but decided not to. But for them is all attested. Then that Khalifatullah was an official title of Umayyad head of state is clear from the attestation given already. Thus, it is Khalifatullah which appears in Abdul Malik's coins. The Umayyads continue to spell out Khalifa as Khalifatullah in their public statements until to the very end of the period. For all the political differences, Al-Walid to Yazid to Marwan to Bar'ad one at this point. These are the three last Umayyad caliphs. They depose each other, fight each other, coup against each other at the end of Umayyad period, but still all they use were Khalifatullah. This is the official theory of them. And what we say, this is early developed, it must be developed from the time of Muawiyah, because even Yazid used, Muawiyah used, and then some of the sentences of Yazid shows more sophistication, and some other people helped them to do that. Leaving aside the reference to Osman in the 13th century Syriac source, Caliphate of Rasulullah is not attested for the Umayyads at all. Somebody in 13th century Syria, 700, 600 years, I mean, many 600 years, is claimed Osman used Caliphate of Rasulullah, but nobody said. And then Osman, we can put it aside. Even ignoring even Osman, which we maybe consider Umayyad or not Umayyad, but even for him, is he used only Khalifatullah. And then it was not just Umayyads and their poets who took Khalifa to stand for Khalifatullah when applied to the head of state. Apparently, everybody did so. And people use it, people refer to them. Khalifatullah is a title which, if taken seriously, leaves no room for ulama. Yeah, that's the big, although this is the discussion he wants. When you Khalifatullah, look, which was in that introductory part, which I didn't discuss, you don't claim only secular authority for yourself, you claim religious authority. It's not that you only talk about the issues of the government, civil state, building dams, roads, taxation. You claim, I will decide the religious fatwa, religious issue, whether you say Bismillah loud or not, or whether the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah in that prayer, loud or not, whether Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is part of surah, or whatever you do, whether you break your prayer when you're doing traveling or so on. You have the authority to decide. So if God manifests his will through caliphs here and now, there is no need to seek guidance from scholars who remember what the Prophet has said in the past. And actually, Umayyads work with the ulama which believe the Sunnah and Khalifa is Sunnah. That's other lectures I have to expand on this. So there were other ulamas which are not official circle, but the ulama who get in position, they put in place of judgeships or judging or other stuff, in the course, other stuff. These ulama were fully in agree with Umayyad view that the Sunnah of Khalifa is one of the Sunnah we follow. And that's some of the laws of that time was absorbed in some of, especially the issues related to war, division of the spoils of war and slaves, and all those stuff. Some of the absorbed, to the body of the Islamic, especially Sunni Sharia. The Umayyads took the title very seriously. They saw themselves as representative God on earth in the most literal sense of the word, as is clear above from a long letter by Al-Walid II. God has made the earth over to them. This is another title used, Amin Allah, trustee of God, but this is saying, when you're trustee of the God, God give you earth to you, and you are the representative of God, so you can do whatever you want to the earth. Or whatever you do to the earth is what God wills. Is another title regularly attested from the time of Osman onwards. What is thus not surprised to find that Khalifatullah was a title which most scholars disapprove. This is another story with ulama, like it or not. This is another story we go that. Now, one part of this Umayyad theory which is important for us. Okay, what is the relationship with this Caliph of God, which is deputy of God, with the Prophet Muhammad or other prophets? This is what we elaborate. We shall now elaborate on the Umayyad conception of the caliphal function with special reference to the views on the relationship between themselves and the Prophet. It is striking fact that such a documentary evidence as survives from the Sufyanid periods make no mention of the messenger of God at all. We discussed that. The striking fact that documentary evidence, nothing mentioned Prophet. And then we discussed this part. So this part I've gone through it. So that the name of Prophet wasn't there, suddenly came. But even the name of the Prophet appearing in some official documents, coins, papyri, scriptures, buildings in the after Marwanids, what does it mean? So I skipped that part which I said it, but it wasn't. But then suddenly appears. But still, what they mean? What is the function? Is just a name? Okay. Well, how you relate to it? There is nothing in all this to inform us of the Caliph's perception of Muhammad from an inner Islamic Umayyad point of view. For such a perception, now. This sentence, let's put it aside. Look, we don't have many documents from first century. This is a problem. And we don't have it from early Umayyads like Sufyanids, but we have one from one of the later caliphs, Al-Walid II. We have the full letter, which we can anticipate it is the general view they repeat, because it is very well crafted, worked out. And it seems as like a document they repeated and issuing and stating it. So we can anticipate what Walid II says is what other people, other caliphs more or less saying too. And even maybe the idea started from time of Muawiyah, or maybe the Sarjoni will help him to develop it. So this letter of Walid II is important. So for such a perception, we may turn to the long letter written by Walid II, one of Umayyad caliphs, to the garrison cities concerning the designation of successors. So you see, because they are Khalifatullah, this is one another reason. When you are Khalifatullah, you can decide who will be the successor. Because you see, so in some aspects is similar to Imam Shia view. So they take it out. They take it. But the Imam Shia says the one who become caliph must be pious, must be knowledgeable, must be know the book of God. This one, the only one caliph has a sword, yet the power is the caliph without any virtue. Okay, and no saying of people, because still Imam Ali said, if people do not like me, okay, I am Imam designated by God, but I wouldn't be caliph. But here they enforce the caliphate by force. People should obey. So now, and then, so because they consider caliph, they can choose the successor. And we said Osman was thinking to do that for his son too, but then then he put it aside At early years, he put aside, and then he was killed. The whole issue go away, and then Muawiyah started. This letter is the most detailed document that we possess in respect of many, maybe termed the Umayyad theory of state. Al-Walid in this letter sketches out a salvation history. So Al-Walid, that is second, Al-Walid the second, the Umayyad Caliph, says the history is divided two parts: the era of prophets and the era of caliphs. A prophet Muhammad was representing the culmination of the prophethood, the peak and the khatam and the end of prophethood. And his death, the era of the prophets came to end. So these are simply apparently true sentences, but the twist comes in. So, but the era of caliphs began when, on the death of the Prophet Muhammad, God raised up deputies, which means not successors necessarily, but representative, to administer the legacy of his prophets. The bulk of the letter is devoted to the supreme importance of obedience to God's caliph. Why we have to obey these caliphs? Whoever obeys will flourish, and whoever disobeys will be punished in both this world and the next, as we are told time and again. What is so striking about this letter is that caliphs are in no way subordinated to prophets, let alone to the prophet. This is the important part. Caliphs are not less than the prophets, and even including maybe the Prophet Muhammad. The prophets and caliphs are prophet and caliphs alike are seen as God's agents. Both are God's agents, and both doing the duties God have given to them, and both dutifully carry out the tasks as assigned to them. The former by delivering messages, and the later by putting them into effect. So look, the twists start to come. One delivers messages, which is prophets are, rasul, and one administered them, established the laws and put them in practice. The caliphs are the legatees of the prophets in the sense that they administer something established by them, but they do not owe their authority to them. This is understanding in Patricia Crone. Some people maybe dispute it, or definitely Sunni ulama dispute it, but I think this is more the truth. And they see how they acted, how the Osman acted, how the Muawiyah acted. So something established by them, but do not owe the authority to them. He says, although, so the theory says, although the caliphs administer things established by their prophet, but their authority is not via prophet, but to God directly. And that is, they don't call themselves Khalifatul Rasulullah, but Khalifatullah, directly circumventing prophet going to God. Let's say the prophet is own, but the authority comes directly from God. In other words, formerly God used prophets, now he used caliphs. Look, some aspects have similarity with the theory, Christian theory, which later in medieval times were very important. So I guess even Muawiyah could heard it. I mean, Syria was the bastion of the Christianity hundreds of years. So maybe from those administrators, or he thinking themselves. The two-sword theory was a little bit different, even better than this, because at least we have two people. And in the sense, this theory says we have caliphs and prophets, but gradually you see they're not even parallel to each other. We'll see caliphs get the upper hand to the prophets. In the Christian theory was the two Pope and emperors. And one of the things we have to know, I think democracy or whatever in the verse is partially because of, I think it's not, because of this division allows two groups be there. So maybe I don't want to go to that history. Look, the two-sword theory was that we have two types of people, popes and kings. Popes have the spiritual sword, the spiritual power. King has the temporal sword. Pope managed the issues related to church and religion, and kings managed the related to the land. And so kind of division, or sometimes this is called the secularism, earlier part. And then you have the hierarchy underneath of each, and you can see the hierarchy, the knights, nobles, and bishops, priests. The two-sword doctrine came to mean the Pope possessed both swords, but had granted the temporal sword to rulers. Therefore, the papacy had the right to depose kings and emperors. The two-sword theory, always the tension was who has the upper hand. For a long time, the belief was that, actual power is the hand of kings, but Pope has the upper hand, can remove the kings. And popes could do that. People listened to them, and they were so powerful. And there was another guy, emperor, in the middle too, so it's a little complication. But gradually things changed, and a pope lose the power. But the Umayyad theory is not this even. It's not caliphate and prophets side by side. In Islamic one, we can say caliphs and ulama, but you see, at least at this stage, and many later, caliphs claim religious authority for themselves too. And for a while, till it was the middle of Abbasid, Ibn Hanbal, really ulama get the power and establish themselves, so the caliphs couldn't claim religious authority outright. Prophet Muhammad still is a prophet with small p. Obviously, he was a prophet most relevant to al-Balid and his subjects. This is the theory of Umayyad. So we continue the story. Being a successful messenger who worked among Arabs, who created a community which God had now put al-Balid in charge. So Prophet Muhammad is important. He's a prophet for Arabs, even maybe not necessarily emphasizing for all the world. But then, the way downplaying prophet like this, but he was still one out of many. He stood at the end of an era, not at the beginning of one. All these tricky words. Messages belong to the past. The past, present had been made over to caliphs. They're also reflected in the stories which Umayyad governors and others credit God's deputy with a status then higher than of his messenger. I play with the word. So, and then besides the caliphs, besides these official documents, these governors, like we have it sometimes in the manner where people come and say stuff which is officially is not said. Officially doesn't come to documents, but they claim more. Usually claim, oh, so and so is so. That great. So it's this. One of the things they really start to put this. If you adopt that, okay, whether what is written means caliphs are superior to the prophets, they start to play the words. For example, the caliph, for example, some of the sentences are from Hajjaj. The caliph is given the edge over the prophet on the ground that whereas a messenger simply delivers a message, a deputy is authorized to act on behalf of his employer. And this sounds strange because it is clear that everyone knows better. What is being offered is simply clever argument. So what he's saying is that they come and say, okay, you say Rasulullah. Rasul is just a messenger. And they're Khalifatullah, the representative. Who is important? The one who simply delivers a message, or the one who says, I am representing this guy. So what I'm representing, I can negotiate like a lawyer. You choose a lawyer and give all the permissions. The lawyer can sign contract, can buy on behalf, sell on your behalf. So that lawyer has much more authority than somebody. I give a letter to him. Okay, take it to that place. They make it like this, that we deputies, playing with the words, are much more important than the Rasuls or prophets. Look, even Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Saqafi said some of these sentences, at least come in these storybooks. Patricia Crone wants to use some of these in his own way. We don't need to go her way, but we can use some of it. And some of the sentences has a little bit exaggeration, but the essence of it, which I stressed, is there. Hajjaj was the opinion that those who, look, these are goes to really, I'm sorry to read these, but these are really obnoxious. Hajjaj was an opinion that who circumambulate the tomb of Prophet Muhammad in Medina should rather circumambulate the place Abdul Malik. So you still go tawaf the tomb of Abdul Malik or a palace of Abdul Malik, instead of the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad. That's why we should do that, like a religious duty, since one's deputy caliph is better than one's messenger. So people start to say these kind of things. They claim this guy is Esma, this guy is so. And in the course of a Friday oration, a judge says he's said to have asked the rhetorical question whether any member of the audience would prefer his messenger over his deputy. Would ask people, do you like the prophet more or the caliph? And the answer to this question wasn't easy, and then people sometimes answer. And then in a letter, this is Arabic, put it. Read to Abdul Malik. Abdul Malik, we see, was the caliph, and the Hajjaj was the ruler of Kufa, placed by the caliph Abdul Malik. He said, "In the Khalifatullah fi arzi akramu alayhim rasulihi alayhim." In a letter to Umayyad Caliph Abdul Malik, he wrote, "God honored his caliph on earth over his messenger to humanity." God honored his caliph on earth over his messenger to humanity. So look, they kind of explicit. And another one, in another letter, Hajjaj, he also said to have written, the heavens and earth exist only by the caliphate, and the caliph in God's eye is more favored than the cherubim, the angels, and the prophets sent. Look Arabic. Yes, I mean, Hajjaj is not very radical one. They don't put this explicitly in official documents, but when you let the top governors, your Friday prior Imam said this kind of sentence, so you have it. That is why God created Adam with his hand and made the angels worship him and placed him in paradise. So because Adam was caliph, And now we are caliph. God made Adam with his hand, so we are kind of handmaid of God or something like that. Then sent him down to earth and appointed him as caliph, vicegerent, and made the angels messengers to him. Now they're playing the similarity with Adam. You know that Khalifatullah Adam. Now they're playing on it. Look, they start to make stories, and then kind of I'm stopping around here. Is this, for example, they start to play with the Quranic verses and claim more. So, for example, this is narrated that these are famous. I was sitting with Abu Bakhtari at-Tai while Al-Hajjaj was delivering the Friday sermon, saying, the description and condition of Osman in the eyes of God is similar to that of Jesus, son of Mary. So they start to put Osman on par with Jesus. Okay, and then people say, okay, what you're saying? He raised his head, then uttered a long moan and said, and I read this verse of 55, Surah Al-Imran, 3rd Surah Quran. And remember when God said, oh Jesus, I'm gathering thee and causing thee to ascend to me, and I'm cleansing thee of those who disbelieve, and I'm setting those who followed thee above those who disbelieve unto the day of resurrection. So this is a little bit controversial verse. I mean, is a commentary of this verse is hard, but is the question is that it's a follower of Jesus, and some people think this sentence, if you read carefully, maybe is followers of Prophet Muhammad. Who's this commentary? This verse is issue, but putting it aside, now he says, Shi'atul Osman, followers of Osman, are Osman is playing that role for us. Osman as a caliph is playing the function Jesus was playing. And then although this guy said, Abu Bakhtari said, I swear by the Lord of Kaaba, he became a believer. But you know, the Hajjaj, so they're saying this kind of stuff. And then look, the rulership of the Umayyads have three is like triangle, have three sides. Absolute obedience to the ruler, absolute, nothing. I mean, then supplementing it with a philosophical view of Ghadab, that everything is decreed by God, everything decided by God. Whatever Caliph does is decided by God. And if it's not, you think it's not good, you should follow it, accept it, obey it, you get the report. So, and then they really were serious about this. That was the official doctrine. They were testing it. If people do not believe in Jab or Qadar or everything decreed by God, then they really persecute them. So it was a litmus test. And the third side was this issue of you should not spill the break of Jama'ah, the social unity. I mean, kind of by any raising your voice or any nahiyas munkar amr ma'ruf is breaking the unity of the society. So you producing disturbance, tashfish asfanui, something like that. So and then what they added to this, so you have to be inside this triangle, absolutely obeying the caliph, believing whatever it is done by him or done to you or done to society is the will of God. You have to accept it and reward it hereafter. And also you shouldn't uprise or oppose or break the unity of the society. And then this issue, the other thing they have, this issue of takfir. You start to question these, or you're going out of these, then the issue of takfir come in, and they tell you you're not a Muslim, you're out of Islam, and then they can kill you. And this takfir, unfortunately, it's door opened by Khawarij. Studying Khawarij could also be important to, you know, and remember, even they come to Imam Ali and say why they push him to accept the peace with Muawiyah. And then they said, okay, because you accepted it, you're kafir, we were too, but we tawbah, now we are Muslim, and you should tawbah. And Imam Ali said, I don't. So they start to kill people, to call his followers. This issue of takfir is open up and using it. Oh, you're out of Islam, you're not a Muslim, you're a murtad, you're whatever. So this is how they control. You see, so I'm not going to the Murja. I know is a topic which I would. So I will stop here. Look, the whole idea was summarizing it. Muawiyah and Yazid will want to extinct the light of Prophet Muhammad. If Muawiyah lived longer, or Yazid lived longer, if Imam Husayn has not uprised, I think they could. There are many reasonable, practical things they would be successful. Many religions have been completely changed. The true version was not there. Muawiyah, maybe with the new religion, he was his prophet. It would make something. God would be there. Allah would be there. Something Christians and Jews must be accepted in it. But everything would be changed. Everything would be changed. And even despite of the uprising, Imam was saying, still this is the theory of prophethood and caliphate they have. This is still they pushing caliphs are more than the prophets. Let alone if there was no uprising, no opposition, no fight, no rebellion. And continuously we have rebellion. We have rebellion, people get upset. But we have rebellions left and right after this. We continue to see those 18 years, they have rebellion, but still they go that line. So you slow their acceleration and then the tide changes. Abbasid revolution. Abbasid revolution in essence was a Shia Islamic revolution. Whether it's changed, okay, distorted, hijacked, is another story. So I stop with this verse, which again, the positive promise of God, answering that previous verse. It is he who has sent his apostles with the guidance and the religion of truth, and he will make it prevail over our religions, though the polities should be adverse. But part of this mechanism, the protecting Deen and Haq, is what Imam Husayn did, and that's what we should all do, and in the times like this. So that's again this verse. Say, I give you just a single advice, that you rise up for God's sake in person or singly. We have to do that. We have to really follow Imam as an Imam, because to protecting the true religion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghoddoussi. It was really very interesting. I have a few questions. I mean,
sure.
One of them on the one that you show the writing on Prophet Muhammad on the stone. Is there any doubt on the? I mean, on that, on the history of that, and if any, or
okay.
Everybody is saying that that's correct thing, and I mean.
The first inscription I showed.
Yes, the one that you show.
Yeah, this is not fully dated, and you see that's the problem we have. There are lists of dated ones, and this guy is not known. In the last few years, there are some other inscription came. There are some interesting ones, which at least the name of some person is mentioned, then you can find him in storybooks. I'm sorry, it takes a while to go there.
It's all, I think, the first page, basically.
Yeah, I should have escaped it. See, I stopped sharing. Okay. Then yeah, this you see that I put it because that's also the issue we have. Okay, this is here. Now I share again. We are finding, one of the things is this not much research has been done in that area of again, I don't know what's, let me say. Let me talk and we go up. So not many research has been done. Is more recent, and we have found much more inscription. This seems old, but how old I don't know. Yeah. The way the inscription is used, some feature of the writing, like lam is like this, ain is like this, is old. This group is professional. Whether a forgery can happen, I myself asked. A few years ago, they had something about some Ja'far ibn Muhammad. They thought one could be Imam Sadiq. But there was only two names, so you cannot judge it. But then there was some dua, which first they searched. There were not too many Ja'far ibn Muhammad that era. The only two mentioned people. The dua maybe matches some of the. We didn't find it in the Shia tradition or Sunni tradition, but matches some of the students said. So there are a couple of times like here we have a name of person. This one we don't know who he is, and it's only his name and his father. When they give more names, when you give the genealogy, is easier to find. So we have cases like Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, Abdul Aziz ibn Marwan could be someone else. But it most probably is this, maybe those guys. But the other side is that whether whose name it is old. At least the way this group is publishing, I think they assume it is old. And because they're experts, and they're doing it for a long time, and the Western scholars accept it and have used it. So I assume this is old. Old, I mean, is first century, and maybe even the first few. That's the point. If they can show it is the first 50 years, this would be a big discovery, because the coin we have is at 65 after Hijra, so it's 55 years after Prophet Muhammad. If this is earlier, this will be very important. This will be the oldest attested name of Prophet, except the non-Muslim Islamic one. But they're not sure, because we cannot do anything about here. No carbon dating you can do. There's no organic materials there. You have to go to just orthography, the way it's written, or if the name of the guy, or is dated. Some of them are dated. Some of the things we have explicitly mentions the date. Actually, there is one interesting one, one interesting one. I just find it, I don't know, maybe I can find the website, but it might come. But let me tell you, there is one which is discovered in Jordan and given to authority in Israel, because at 68, I think they discovered it, which is control of, after 61 control of Israel. They have some pictures, some plaster, but the original is destroyed. That's the bad part. Not all of it is readable, but two names is mentioning it. One is Abdul Rahman Uf, which last lecture we talked about. One is Abu Ubaid ibn Jarrah, which is the commander which Umar liked to make him third caliph. And then Muawiyah. And we are not sure what it is. Either is because it seems is written later after these guys died. Abu Ubaidah died at 18 of Hijra. This is written 32 of Hijra. But it mentions something about Rasul, not name of Prophet. So it says those two were the companion of Rasul, and Muawiyah was the katib of this document or katib of the Rasul. I think most probably maybe katib of this document. But unfortunately, the original is destroyed. Not all of it is read, but it's dated. But the date is a little bit disputed. Most people are now reading in 32, but some people say maybe it's 52 because it's old, hard to read. It's 52 after Hijra, still old. I mean, still earlier than 65 coin, but it's Rasul. But 32 will be very, very early. Again, we have non-Islamic sources, as I said, very early, 12, 13, 14 after Hijra, initially name of Prophet. So verifying the provenance and whether it's old is an important business. And what is dated is very valuable if the inscription dates it. For example, one of them has the year of Umar died. You know, we have one inscription, the guy says his name, and then it is the year that second caliph died. This year of Hijra. Those are very precious. This is, I was looking, maybe when we discuss the Sira, inshallah, sometime, we can go to more details, knowing all the issues which are there. Yeah,
and then
I don't know, I answered you. Yeah.
Another question I had, those titles, do the Khalifa really believe in that? I mean, for example, the Khalifatullah, I mean, so.
I think they really, at least they acted like that. I mean, Umayyads, I'm not sure I believe in God, but I think Osman was really acting like that. This is the one you sometimes do. You have to look. I can mention contemporary ones too, you know, but better for not saying. But when you really have this kind of, Muawiyah, I don't know, but at least they show it to people. But Osman is the one I think is a good example. Previously, when I was reading, I didn't focus on Osman because I want to go this. But then after the lecture last time for Osman, and why he was insistent, and I think he truly believed or deceived himself, this is given by me by God. What I feel, what I decide is decision of God, approved by God. And because God is giving this to me, I'm not to give this away. We have this view too, you know, and then, I mean, if you claim you're chosen by God, you know, I don't want to go too much explicit one, but this mindset goes to your mind, then you think your judgment, you say, I will answer God, you know, I'm responsible for it to God. Yeah.
Another thing I noticed in one of your slides, you had something, God had selected the Caliphate. So, I mean, is that what the Sunni people, they believe? I mean, that they are, I mean,
Okay, how they justified was also that is playing with the idea of jab. Whatever happening, God wills. And then, so if I eat my breakfast or not eat my breakfast, God wills it too. But then now they play on it, say, okay, God chooses us, not directly. But regarding the no, this is not the Sunni Caliphate theory now. At least that's also a question. For example, many of them for a long time were against Umayyad. You see, we have coming back of Umayyads with the Salafis, Daesh and other stuff. Umayyads are coming. Some use Umayyad, which were not there for 1,000 of years till Wahhab is coming. And if they take me a little bit, keep them theoretically, those views are cornered. But now they're coming to forefront, and that's the little bit problems are happening from there. If we go to the first four caliphs, the official doctrine, Omar, was no, this was a falta. God, the Prophet didn't choose anyone, and then we choose it, Abu Bakr, and God, there is no successor of a Prophet. We suddenly decided these kind of things maybe got not good, but it went well. But there are some line of Aisha pushed it. No, Abu Bakr was chosen by Prophet and by God. So in that sense, we go to common people in the street. Somebody take maybe Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman, and then Imam Ali was chosen by God. But what did after that? Traditionally, the Khulafa Rashidun was ended. Some include Imam Husayn, some not. 6 months of Imam Husayn in the first five caliphs, which is Ahmad ibn Hanbal in around 220 after Hijra established this. But then many of them used to believe the Khilafah become Mulukiyah. So what Muawiyah did, they don't call it Khilafah, they call it Mulukiyah. For example, Abu al-Ala Mududi, which is the religious leader in Pakistan, very influential, contemporary to Imam Khomeini, he had clearly said that it's Mulukiyah. So I cannot say all Sunnis believe that. But at least in Umayyad period, that it was the official doctrine, that was the soul. And yeah, and then, sometimes the line is very easy when you claim that the chosen of, for example, Maria Faqih is Ilham or something. When you go like those lines, the popes, cardinals, they really think the cardinals are inspired choose the next pope. The Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit inspired the cardinals to choose the next pope. If you go, Misbah Yazdini said that this we don't select a Maria Faqih, we discover it. So God has chosen somebody's mind. It doesn't communicate to us by way, but we have to sit down and reflect who has God chosen. So the one we choose is the one that God chosen. And God intended to be chosen. That's our character. So look, these are there. These are there. That's what I'm saying. The borders are so you can easily crossing from one side to other side. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, perfect. I think almost asked all my questions. I don't have anything more to add. I mean, it was a wonderful session, basically, and also thank you for tailoring your lecture for the birth of Prophet Muhammad, which coming next week, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything. And then I think we continue in 2 weeks with the session 6, inshallah. So, Assalamu alaikum till 2 weeks.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.